Right, there we are. What is it, 9:15, 10:15, I should say. And you join me on the River Thames. It's actually called Cullen Reach for my last club match for the 23-24 season. And could be a good day today. Just let me check the stream. Check we got some volume. It's actually called Cullen Reach for my there we go. So yeah, we've got what 15 minutes before the start. I just need to make my balls a ground bait, and then I'll go through the rigs and that type of stuff. So bear with me for a second. I just need to get everything sorted out, and then we'll be ready to go. And then who's that? I'm going to put in, how many balls am I got? I'm going to put in 10 balls today. I'm going to fish really positive. Seven. Cover that up, because I'm sure there's going to be some dogs that run down here today. And then I want some loose feed to go in it. So into that 10 balls of ground bait, I will put 1 pot of caster. Get that in there. We've got a pot of dead maggot, and we'll get some hemp. I'll put in a pot of hemp. It's been really cold these last few weeks. But this actual last few days the temperature's come up, and there's been a couple of bream caught and a couple of roach caught so in this section on the other bank, but I'm confident that we might catch some fish today after many weeks of, well, I don't know, terrible winter season, I would say. Of not catching too much, but you know, that's winter carping for you. So let's get this mixed up and then into some balls, and we should be ready for the start at 10 o'clock. Oh. I'm going to ball it today. I'm going to chuck the ground bait in. Hopefully I'm going to attract a load of roach. If I don't attract a load of roach, I'm going to attract a load of bream, so I want to put plenty of bait in today. And I've got plenty of ground bait for topping up if I need it. Well, I have really no idea. It might be the wrong thing to do, putting this much bait in, but if you don't put a load of bait in, you certainly can't catch lots of fish, and I want to catch lots of fish, so lots of fish or nothing today. One, two, three, 10. Really hard. The river's, it's got some flow on it, but not a lot of flow. I've plumbed up with a 3 gram pole float. I can run a 3 gram float through there with no problem. It's slow enough. Hopefully it'll stay like that for the rest of the day. But I think the weather in the country has been pretty good upstream, so there's not a lot of water to come down the river, or less water coming down the river, I should say. Morning all, if you're just joining, welcome to the stream. Squeezing these balls rock hard. They look good. Morning, Nigel. Yeah. Do you know what, Nigel? I haven't got any corn. I went to the shop this morning, got a coffee, got myself something for breakfast, can of Coke, that type of stuff. And then I sort of got to the venue and I went, oh, maybe some corn, and then went back to the shop and they didn't have any. So I'm cornless, but let's see. So I tried, and it is a lovely day, you're right. Let's make these balls a little bit bigger. Morning, John. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A little bit bigger. Right, there we go, 10 balls. So there's the river, it's looking absolutely lovely. There's, how many of us today? 12 maybe? 12 on the river. And there's a lot of confidence around about, people think they will catch a few fish, and I'm not going to be satisfied with a few fish. I want a lot of fish, so I'm going to put a lot of bait in. And it's either going to work or it's not, and if it doesn't work, I can chuck the feeder in the middle of the river. So I've got a backup plan if I need it. Right, those balls are ready to go, and they can probably just sit there. Perfect. Right, shall we go through the rigs quickly? Firstly, let's go through, oh no. Okay, we're fishing 3 ways today. First way is my ever trusty pole feeder, black hydro, 8 £, ST, 017 hook length to a size 12 MWGB. That's going to be for bream. I'm going to fish that, or bream and chub. That's going to be fished with double dendrobina worm, and maybe a pinky topper. So that's that rig. Then we've got blue hydro down to a 3 gram AS7, which I'm going to fish with a bulk. It's 013 down to 011 6-inch hook length, size 18. And then I've got a feeder set up, which is over there and I can't grab it, which is just a feeder down to a Guru speed bead, 1 meter hook length, of 07. Yeah, it could be what I said earlier was I'd like £20 a roach, and then when a pike turns up I'll go to double worm, and then I'll catch £80 a bream. That'd do me lovely. There's the feeder. So just 8 £, ST down to a big old Preston 50 gram feeder. I'm going to sling it in the middle of the river if I need to. And then bait wise, you've seen I've put a bunch of dead maggot, caster and hemp into the ground bait. I've got a load of dendrobina worms over there. I've got some caster, move that there. Then I've got some maggot, some pinky, and I've got a load of pellet, robin red and halibut pellet. I'm going to plug that in the feeder. So I'm going to ball it first. This is the plan. I'm going to ball it at 13 meters. I'm going to go over it with the float. If I don't get any fish on the float, I'll go over it with the pole feeder. But just before I go on it on the pole feeder, I'll put some bait into the middle of the river. And maybe I'll keep topping that up during the day, but I don't expect to have to go on it. I really want to catch at 30 metres on the float, really. That's what I'm looking for. Right, and then we got 5 minutes. Morning everyone else that's just joined. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time, welcome back to the channel. If you've not been here for a couple of weeks, I got a load of stuff to do, and then my other half, she was extremely busy with things, so I took the kids to the Big One show in Farnborough last weekend, which I'll not talk a lot about, but I don't think I'm going to go there again next year. And they've been doing some other stuff, so I've got a load of fishing coming up, so a lot of stuff to do in the house, and then I've got Maver Match this qualifier at Tunnel Barn Farm in a couple of weeks, and shortly after that I've got the Daiwa Spring Festival, not the Daiwa, the Spring Spectacular at Tunnel, and then all sorts of stuff. So I've got a lot of stuff to be getting on with, lots of fishing coming up, so I've had a little break, and as I said, this is the last river match of this season, and then it will just be a short hop, 3 months, until we're back out here again catching big bags of roach and bream. So I'm looking forward to that. Just keep squeezing these balls. I want to go in rock hard today. So 5 minutes to go. Is the audio and the picture all right? Should be right. I've got a super good signal here. I need to remember this peg for when I want to come and just do some pleasure fishing streams. This is I've got a really good signal. £15 for a box. I think you're fine there, Nigel. My Preston's old now. This is a Preston Absolute, and it's looking a little bit tired these days. Well, dirty more than anything else. But I've had a few threads go on a couple of the screws, and one of the legs, one of the threads is completely gone. So I've had to make shift and jam it up basically with some electrical tape, and I really should get myself a new one, but it might last me another season. I think the last time you can fish the river, I want to say, is midnight on the 14th. So as soon as it turns the 15th, it's closed, and then not back open again until midnight on the 15th of June. So 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 past midnight on the 16th be when it reopens. It should be exactly the same, John, anywhere in the UK. Right, I need this other one. I'm going to ball it with my cupping kit on. Taking the cup off last year, I nearly hit the cup a couple of times and nearly smashed the end of the pole. So I'm gonna ball it without the cupping kit on today. So it looks nice in front of me. Like I said, 11-12 anglers fishing today. I think there'll be a whole host of tactics deployed, from people fishing liquidized bread with a big bit of bread flake to people fishing like me on the pole. A lot of feeders going to go in, I think. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, with it. I don't know where I'll be on the 16th of June. Actually, I think I might have got him where I might have a match on. I don't know where it is. Right, well, we've got a minute to go. There should be a hooter. Let's get ready. I could probably ship this out. What do you reckon? There we go. Right, 12 I think today, Nigel. We're pegged pretty close. We're pegged pretty close. You can probably see the gentleman to my left in the reeds, Ryan, and you can see Reg to the right on the reeds. There we go. Let's do it. You just know that these Thames pike are listening to that. Going right. Let's go and sit in this peg later on. Put the pole cut back on there. If I'm catching roach, I'll need to top up every 45 minutes to an hour. That would be a great situation for the last match on the river, wouldn't it? Let's see. Maybe going to catch, or it's going to be really blank. Oh, did I change those Nightbot messages? I think they should be fine. So a little reminder there, if you're not subscribed and you enjoy watching some live fishing, then hit the subscribe button, and you'll find your way back to the channel really easily. Just going to sort this side tray out a little bit. Some caster there. We'll start on double maggot. Just imagine there is a nice chub, heard all that commotion, it's come to have a look. So let's make sure I've got something that's going to appeal to it. Right, I'll just bend this camera around. It might take me just a little bit of time to... It's a little bit of time to get it in the right position so you can see. Obviously I'm sitting round to the right, and right, here we go. Feeder just going in above me. I really expected to catch first chuck, but Let's see. I think the river's warmed up a little bit. You know, unfortunately next week it's going to get colder again. If not, I think it would have fished really well next weekend, next Friday, which is the last day. But I think today's the last day to really fish the river. It's going to get cold again next week round here, so sort of a do or die today. So I'll run this few more times on double maggot, then I'll switch to double pin key, single maggot. I'll run through a bunch of baits. Oh, it feels so long since I've actually been able to run the float through. It feels like, I don't know when it was, September? Maybe it was October time, I don't remember now. The last time I was able to successfully run the float through on the river, but hopefully we're going to catch on it today. Just going to move the phone round and then I can see what everyone's saying. Hold on a second. Right, let's move that phone a little bit. There we go. Right, morning Martin. The thing, Nigel, is I don't want to put the bait out now because I might not be fishing it for an hour, 2 hours. You know, I want to have a good go here, and really I want the bream on this line. You know, I don't want them in the middle. I want them on the pole line so I can catch them on the pole feeder or the pole. So that's the reason I'm not going to put any out there just yet. Might be the wrong thing, but that's the thought behind it. Today, Martin, I'm on the River Thames on a section of Sutton Courtenay water called Culham Reach. And I've got quite a nice run through. The question is whether things want to feed today, or whether, I should say, roach want to feed. There was some bream caught on Friday on this stretch, so there should definitely be options for those, but ideally I wanted to catch some roach and then settle down onto some bream on the pole feeder, but we'll see. of consensus along amongst quite a lot of the other anglers was that they weren't going to put much bait in today, and I decided to go the complete opposite. Well, I knew I was going to go opposite anyway, and I balled it and put 10 balls in. You know, if those bream want to feed, I want them in my peg. As I was saying, we're quite close together. I've just started, and we started at 10 o'clock. I've put 10 balls in, and I'm running over the top of it for nothing, but that's all right. I've got the pole feeder on the same line, and if I can't catch there, I'll sling it into the middle of the river and see if I can get a fish out there. But if I'm going to do anything, I think, you know, always it will be on this sort of 13 metre line. No, I don't have any motor track. We're in a little village called Culham, effectively. If you looked on the if you looked on a map, a village called Culham, and then just looked to the river, we're there. Oh, see, that might have been a bite. That might have been a, well, it went under. Let's have a quick inspection of the bait. Bait looks all right. Now those two grebes that have just swum past have just decided to nosedive in my peg in the middle of the river, so there they are, just come up just to the right there. So they think there's something here to eat. But I've run it to the same place along that run a few times, not hooked anything on the bottom, so, you know, fingers crossed, could be a fish just coming up from the bottom of the peg. Always a bit suspicious when I get a bite but don't hit it, but I have found on a few occasions on the river that the fish have got a tendency sometimes to just sit right off the back of the bait. See there, I've not hooked up into anything, so I think that was a bite. Come on, be some roach waking up. That's what I want. Just start to try holding it back, slowing it right down. if you find Abingdon Marina, I'm on the opposite side of the river in the next big field down from it. That's the way I'd describe it. Nothing. Another couple of runs and then I'll try a single maggot. Come on, something be hungry. Something hungry. Morning everybody, if you're just joining. It's just 15 minutes into the match. I've balled it 10 balls at 13 metres. Hoping for a day catching some roach and some bream. We're going to see what happens. There's been a few roach caught recently. The river is warming up, but the question is whether it's going to be warm enough, or whether it's going to still be a match where, you know, one chub or two chub wins it. Last week there was a club match on the other side, and it was one with one bream, and then second place was one chub, and third was one roach. But the conditions are completely different. The lead up to this match has been nice and warm, and the lead up to that match was, you know, frost every morning. So let's see. It is just nice to be out on what is going to be an absolute gorgeous day, fishing the river, running a float down it just before the end of the season. Although 15 minutes in, I'm not sure if it's going to get me a fish, but I'm not in a rush. What I haven't worked out yet in river fishing is, you know, if you put a load of bait in and then you go over the top of it and there's nothing there, you know, do things come to it? You know, is it either instant reaction or nothing? Or can it be a situation where 2 hours later the fish turn up? I don't know. I'd be alright if it was down the edge. I'd know what on a commercial, I would know the answer to these questions, but I don't know the answer to them on the rivers yet, so I'm still very much learning. Maybe there's some river anglers watching, think, you know, absolutely screaming at me, thinking I should have put in like 2 balls or something. I don't know. But trial and error, you know. Trial and error. Right, Try and slow this down. The next angler's not that far away really, Steve, and there's a load of grass to my left. These pegs are all known as the reeds. There's a lot of reeds to my left, and you'd end up, I think, in a bit of trouble. But possibly, if the next angler wasn't where he was, you know, maybe you would catch like that, you know, with a bolo float, running it down, firing a load of maggot. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to work it out. What I do know is that fishing it like this gives me the option to go over it on the pole feeder, you know, and be straight on top of that ground bait, no problem. You know? It's 9 foot deep, Martin. That's the problem. You know, if I loose feed in this peg, by the time that bait, loose fed bait, hits the bottom, I reckon it's in the next guy's peg. Or well on the way to his peg. So if you were to loose feed and fish a stick float, I think you could do that, or a bolo float down, but I'd be next door. In my view, you know, I don't fully know, but I think that would be the case. It's not like I've got like a huge run to my left and I can just let it go down, you know what I mean? There are some sections of the river though that I was looking at yesterday where you could absolutely run a stick float down it for quite a long way. I might go and have a little adventure down to next season. Oh, it doesn't feel like it's working, does it? Switch back to double maggot again. So I've amazingly deduced it doesn't feel like it's working on the basis I've had one suspect bite and no fish. But that suspect bite gives me confidence. That's what we're going to do, you know. If I run this through for another 5 minutes, I might put a couple of feederfuls of pellets in the middle of the river and then sit on the pole feeder. I might sit on the pole feeder for an hour first and then chuck some pellets in the middle of the river. I don't know. I don't want to confuse myself and go and put a load of bait in different places, you know. That's not what I want to do today. I'll be constantly thinking, should I be on the feeder or should I be on the pole feeder? So we'll give it another 5 more minutes and then we'll go on the pole feeder. And if I don't catch, then if we get exactly the same conditions next year, I won't ball it. So every time this float runs along, I'm like, go under, go under, go under, go under, go under, go under. It's just running through my mind. Doesn't look like it's going to go though. Definitely giving me confidence though that when it did go under, it was a bite, because it's not snagged up on anything, but it's not happened again, so I'm assuming that that was a bite that I had earlier. There, that's gone under, and that's not a roach. Good roach, look at the roach. I've forgotten how long this landing that is. It's a chub. It's a little baby chub. There we go. Oh no, it's not. It's a massive roach. Oh no, it's not. It's a chub. Fish identification, Graham. Right, there we go. Yeah, have some faith. Have some faith. I want to say that there's I think when I fished a match, it was further up. It was this section, but I was like 10 pegs upstream. I think it's on the channel. It was one of the first ones where I fished a pole feeder, and it's the one where I snapped my landing net, quite comically, as I bumped a bream on the on the bar in front of me, and I had a first chuck that day, and I'd balled it, and that was, you know, this side of Christmas. There's definitely a video that I did, a club match of that. So that was the same sort of place. It was further down the peg, you know, much further down than where the bait is. That ground bait should have gone. It's 9 foot deep, but the river's, you know, not flowing like crazy. And I made them rock solid, so yeah, certainly that is the blank saved. Right, now last week that would have got me second place. So let's stay on this for a little bit longer. I am now wondering, you know, what happens if I go and look a £5 chub on blue hydro. Well, I know the answer is I'm gonna have to hope and pray, but let's see. There's another bite. There's another bite. Right, it's getting exciting. Well, it is for me. I don't know what it's like to watch, but you know, it starts, you know, from the view of my match, you know, start really positive, then sort of gets a little bit, you know, less exciting, and a bite, and then nothing, and then time ticks on, and then we start having discussions about whether balling it was the right idea, and then I'm like, I'm not sure it was, and then I catch a fish, excitement level shoots right up, go back out again, and I've had another bite. So now the excitement level goes shooting right up again. I need to move that round a little bit more, that camera. So the bait went in there, so I expect to get bites. You know, if it was roach, it'll be here. Here's where I'll get the bites off roach. But I've got to run it past and past and past and past and past and past. You know, right down here. It's where I've had those bites. Here's another one, and that's another chub. Well, it's another not roach. And that's a little bit more elastic coming out the pole. So I've only got a one, what have I got, an 011 bottom on. You know, we've had chub reported in this section of the river of up to £8 this season. It's a much better chub, this is. So you probably can't see that too well. I've got to take it upstream and then try and bring it up and then have it fall back into the net. That's the plan. Right, upstream. Chub. The first one was a chub, Brian. Yeah, only a baby one. This one's a little bit of a bigger brother. Huh? No. No, 2. Not even that. Yeah. No, it's not even, it's a £1.5. The more I look at it, the more it's going down in weight. There we go. Tell him I've not. I only used it to measure out my bait. We're fishing a match, but you know, it's a very friendly club match. Right. So now the only one thing I'm wondering is, should I switch this to what's my next elastic I've got in the pole? White hydro? I've got a white hydro kit with me. I don't think I have. I think I've got pinks, blues, greys and blacks. I can't put a grey kit on with an 011 bottom. I could stump everything up or step everything up. You see, people have been catching odd chub down this stretch, and the thoughts that I have all the time, you know, I'm a lake angler, right? You know, I'm not. I've only been back fishing rivers for a couple of years, but I always wonder when people come down and they catch chub on cheese paste and stuff like that. You know, they have a single fish and then nothing, and it's like, yeah, I got one in this peg and one in that peg, and you know, I'm always wondering, you know, why, you know, they don't get more. And I think about, you know, have they put in enough bait to hold the fish, you know, attract them and hold them. And you know, it always makes me wonder when I see, you know, anglers fishing single baits with no loose feed really, lobbing a lump of cheese paste around. And don't get me wrong, people do catch, but I never hear of them saying, oh, I had 3 in that peg, right? I had 4 fish, you know. It's always generally, I had 1 out of there and 1 out of there. Talking like I'm a pro now. But morning, Gary. If I catch a £5 chub, I'm in a little bit of trouble on this blue hydro. I know I've been in a little bit of trouble, but I think what I'll do, those 2 fish, you know, that is not where my bait has gone. So let's see. 2 fish in the net though. Last match of the river season. I'm not going to blank. I'm very happy. And I've got every reason to believe that, you know, maybe there's 6 chub down there. I had a session the other side of Christmas, up in Abingdon town, opposite a place called what's called Tiger Island, and I'd gone there looking to catch roach, and it was a little bit late for that. The river had started to pick up pace, and I think I had 5 chub that day. You know, similar sort of thing, you know, bowling it and then fishing over the top and then topping it up. I am wondering now, should I switch to a 011 with a 16, put a piece of worm on, or a little bit of worm and a pinky? Don't know. Need to think about this. Because they're not roach, are they? And I'm fishing an 011 and an 18. I'm always reluctant though to change anything until I lose a fish, which, you know, I generally don't lose a lot of fish, but My head says I should step up, but I don't want to then not catch and then continually think that that was the cause. Let's just fish like this, and if I could 5-pounder, then I'll show you some skills. I sort of don't want to look a 5-pounder now. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? Although I've done worse things on stream, I think. Remember, no edits around here, like live fishing only. As I said, I've snapped a landing net. What else did I do this season? Pole went in the river, in the lake. I had that happen. Tunnel Barn Farm. I was fishing a festival. I think it was a festival. And I went to go and I was playing a fish. I'd broken down. I'd not put the other 3 sections in the pole sock. And I'm playing a fish and my pole just slips into the lake. I had to make a decision whether I netted the fish or I got my pole, and I decided to net the fish. And then the owner of the venue, very kindly, she went in and got my pole that evening. I had spare sections of pole, was how I thought about it. I think I made the right decision that day. Yeah, maybe, Gareth. But as I said, I definitely have caught multiple chub before from the same peg, fishing over ground bait. Right now, I am wondering whether it would be a good idea or not to put a relatively neat ball of ground bait in full of live maggots. I am wondering that. Or dead maggots, either way. No more bites. And maybe they're going to go and maybe they'll come back, so I need to start thinking about the timing, right? So maybe we give it until 11 o'clock, which will be an hour into the match, and go on the pole feeder at 11. And then maybe after, you know, an hour of fishing the pole feeder, then I look at running it through again. You know, maybe that's an option. But, you know, that's where my bait should be. There. You know, in 9 foot of water that's not moving too fast, those balls are going to hit the bottom of the river just within a couple of metres of where I've chucked them. If I was fishing for roach, this is way out of the target zone. You know, way past. This is where I've hooked both of those chub. But yeah, regarding to Martin's comment, if you look at the Y Festival, the recent Y Festival, they have there's like 5 pegs in a row. They caught £100 of chub each. It's absolutely solid with chub at that part of the river, in that river. You know, catching chub in those pegs is like catching roach in these pegs in the summer. No signs. So no more bite indications since I've had that second chub. But let's keep running it through. Let's do the same thing. I can spare 15 minutes. And I think it's probably the right thing to do to fish this out for another 15 minutes. and then go on the pole feeder. You know, let's think about what Gareth said. Maybe there's been a bit of disturbance. Fish have spooked. Maybe the shoulder chub wasn't 2, maybe it was 4. You know, maybe they spooked away and they're going to come back as that bait continues to go down the river a little bit, you know. Give them a bit of time. I do know, right, that one bream will beat those fish though, right? So let's bear that in mind. And I'm very confident that someone is going to catch a bream along the stretch. So what I might do is I might just put a little bit of worm on in a second and run that down for a few minutes. Yes, Gareth, loads of roach in this section. Not good in the winter for roach in this section though, but there's a video on my channel where I have 20 pounder roach just opposite here. Right, let's give that worms a go. This is like my Riverfest qualifier when I go and put a bit of worm on and then go and have 40 pounder bream. I don't mind hooking 5 pound bream on this blue hydro like this today. I think it'll be alright. Just going to tip that up a little bit, that camera. So we'll run this through a little bit and then maybe I'll just go a little bit deeper. Try and drag it on the bottom a little bit more to slow it down. Yeah, that's it, the white Hereford. I will say though, I did look at all the results for that festival. I think I'm right in saying that you get an absolute ton of fish in like 5 pegs and then a load of people that catch nothing. I think that, you know, they're quite held up in one particular area. Maybe it was just that match, but a little bit like the Riverfest final when it's held on the Trent at Burton Joyce. You know, there's like 2 or 3 pegs where you're expected to catch barbel because there's so many that live there. Alright, let's just run this through another couple of times and then I'm gonna just deepen it up a little bit. I'm kind of scraping the bottom as it is. Obviously where I hold it back and it flicks up. You know, it's not on the bottom, but do one more run then I'll deepen it up. Yeah, maybe, Martin, maybe that's exactly what it is. Maybe I spooked them. Maybe they were there in front of me and I balled it and it sends them flying, you know. So we'll give it this run, then I'm going to try and deepen it up a little bit. Try and slow it down a little bit more. And if that doesn't get me a bite, then I'll go on the pole feeder at 11. Let's see if I can go that much over depth and drag it. So just a little reminder, if you're enjoying the stream, you know, give it a like. It's great for the interaction. If you're watching this on demand later, when I make a video, you can do the same as well. It's great for visibility of the video. I really, you know, appreciate it. Brings it in front of more people, and you know, helps support the channel. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. You can find your way back really easy. Just fishing. Brave enough to make mistakes in front of the public. So the grebes, they came up, right, and they're working the river just past the midway point over there. Just try and slow that bait down. It's done nothing for slowing the rig down, just deepening it off, but so a few more runs with this, and then I'll switch back to double maggot. Maybe I'll switch to double pinky, have a few runs with double pinky, and then the pole feeder's going to come out. Right, let's go to let's go crazy. Let's put 3 fluoro pinkies on this size 18 hook. Actually, let's not, because they're going to wrap over it. Right. A few runs with this then, and then need to find another bait box and then get some ground bait and see if I can, excuse me, catch any fish on a pole feeder. I'm going to go straight out on double dendrobina, which has done really well. You know, it's been really good for me this season on the pole feeder, so I'll go straight out on that. Just looking for just an indication, a bite that might delay that decision about the pole feeder. Gives me a view that there's another fish in the peg, you know. The way that it's gone so far, it was I had a bite and then I had a fish, then I had a bite and then I had a fish. You know, both times there was a bite first before I then hooked it the second time. That was a bite, ladies and gentlemen, that was a bite. Let's get the bait. Now, well, that looks a little bit strung out, that pinky. Maybe that was a bleak or a roach. Right, focus up, everybody. It was actually closer to try to bend that camera around. I don't know why it's not. Oh yeah, I do know why it's not coming around. It was more over where the ground bait was, or closer to the ground bait. Annoying. give it a few more minutes just because I had that bite. I'm not going to hold myself to that statement about 11 o'clock, but come on, go under. Come on, come on. Quick another go on double red maggot and then see if that's enough to tempt him. Come on, straight under. Or not. Right, another couple of runs and then it is pole feeder time, I think. Right, last run. Let's see, come on. Right, that's the end of that for the moment. Let's make a change. Get the pole feeder out. I'm not going to put any bait on that middle of the river. I'm going to leave it. I'm satisfied that there's some fish to be had here, so I'm not going to make that change. But I do need to get that bait box and some ground bait. Camera, front centre. Let's get that pellet. Let's get my phone back round there. So we will go double dendrobina, relatively decent sized bait. Then the feeder will start putting some caster, maggot and some pinky. Let's just put it all in. Oh, and that's got caught up, but it's all good now. Right, drop it just where those balls went. Oh, just slightly to the right, I think. Okay, now wait for the pole to get pulled in. Move that. Tilt that camera up a little bit, I guess. So if you've never seen me fish the pole feeder before, it's a pretty simple rig. I've got black hydro to 8 pound ST. That goes down to Guru speed bead, and I've got a 1 meter hook length. The clever bit of the rig is at the top end you can just see some pink hydro. And I've got 2 sets of gripper stops, and I've got a short piece of pink hydro which then effectively makes a D shape with the line running loose or slack between the 2 gripper stops. What happens is the fish grab the bait, and they pull that bait, and effectively what they end up doing is they end up pulling on the pink hydro, so you see it and you can feel it, and then ultimately if they're pulling hard enough it will move the tip. If it's a big fish, what happens is that elastic straightens out to the point where actually the elastic does nothing, it's just the line, and then you're playing the fish on 0.17 bottom, 8 pound main line and black hydro. So that's kind of how the rig works. I think when I put it in again next time, I'm going to put it slightly to the left. Because that 40 gram feeder is sitting nicely. So we're going to do this every 5 minutes. We're going to cast this, I think. Every 5 minutes or so. Get the bait in regularly, and we'll see if that can bring us on some, hopefully some bream. Or chub are also welcome. Oh, you can also feel the bites in the pole. It's a really sensitive way of fishing. And if you wonder why versus chucking a swim feeder out or feeder out, then I can be so much more accurate with fishing a pole feeder than you can chucking a feeder out. Also get to fish over the bait that I pulled in earlier. So if there is fish that have come to it, then they have a good chance of catching them too. So lots of positives. If I need to chuck to the middle of the river, then I'll obviously get the rod and chuck to the middle of the river. But the more I fish this river, the more I find very few occasions where I need to do that. Hopefully it's just going to get pulled in. It's so accurate with the pole. So I'm fishing a piece of gutter in, dry a foot further out. Or closer for the bite. Yeah, yeah. Can't do it on the pole feeder. Is the only problem, because I'm not holding the pole right. The pole's, you know, on the bar in front of me, and it's underneath the bit on the box. So I can't fish. I can't get another section and fish a foot past or a foot closer because I'm not actually holding it. I could fish a whole section past. And I don't really think... Well, I could put my dolly butt on, which is half a section. I could fish half a section past, but I don't know that I want to, you know. If fish back off, do they back off down river, or do they back off further out? I don't know, but I've had great success fishing just like this, so I'm going to stick with it. I do get your point though, Martin. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Clearly I don't know, right? I think after running the float through for an hour, you know, my conclusion is there's no roach in the peg. And there's no other small silvers. They may still be held up in a deeper channel in the river, right, and they're waiting for another couple of degrees of warmth before they decide to venture out. I'm not sure. There's probably some chub swimming up and down the river, and there's probably some bream moving about, so why would I want to fish anywhere other than where I've dumped that bait? I'm not sure I do. They've both cast into the river either side of me, right? And they've not had a bite. It's time for a snack though, I think. Come on, bring on the bream. Oh. I said 5 minutes, didn't I? Slightly over that. Casters, pinkies, maggots. So where we are, I've missed the little update. So we just come up to 20 past 11. I've got 2 chub in the net, and they've come about half an hour ago, not too far in between them, where I got some bites just to the left of where I was expecting to catch, after putting in 10 balls of ground bait. So the match started, I put in 10 balls. I had about 200 milligrams, 200 mil of caster, dead maggot and hemp. I put all that in, and I was putting in hopefully to catch roach or some bream. And I ran through it and through it and through it, and then there was nothing. There was a bite, and then quite a while, maybe 15 minutes or so afterwards, I had my first little chub, which is about half a pound, and then I had a second chub about a pound and a half, not too far behind it. So we're off to some, we started with some fish, and there was no more indication. So I've gone on the pole feeder. I'm hoping for some bream to come along and settle on that bait that I've put in. So I'm going to fish on this for the next hour, and if there's no success, I would have another little look on the pole, and then I've got a decision to make whether I chuck to the middle of the river, or whether I come back on this pole feeder line. But I'm just going to stay on here for the moment and see if I can catch any fish here. Just need to drop that. Rest just a little bit. I think 5-minute cast with this pole feeder should mean that I introduced another, reasonable amount of bait into the peg. So we'll see. Happy with the start though. Happy with the start. Right, a couple more minutes and then we'll put it in again. Come on, just bream, swim along, grab that bait, thump, thump. That's what I'm looking for. The grebes are still working the river in front of me. So they definitely think there's some small silverfish to be had. Saying that, they're clearing right off down the peg now, out down the river. There's no fish in front of me. No silvers in front of me, so they're off. That's not giving me the confidence that I want, is it? I remember the last match of the season last year. I had one chub, so I've beaten that on numbers of fish, although it was a £5 fish, if I remember rightly. But the conditions were not as they were today, that's for sure. It was a lot colder, a lot colder. What was I getting? 26. Brian, any good? Next door? Yeah. Yeah. Any bream will beat them. They've not caught 2 pegs to my left, and they've not caught 2 pegs to my right either. So I want a 12-man match where we're paying top 3, I think. Then I should get my money back. Such a lovely day though. It's really nice to be out. I'm very tempted to... No, 2 blanks I think. I am, because it's going to be such a nice afternoon, I'm tempted to fish on after the end of the match and just chuck the feeder out. Just see if something drags it round. We'll see. Just got to keep it on that time, you know. I want to put bait in, and you know, I'm going to put a lot of loose feed in now. I'm putting a lot of caster in, a lot of maggot and a lot of pinky. Then we'll do some that are just ground bait in a minute, and then maybe put some hemp through as well, I don't know. Right, looks like one of the anglers is going for a walk. Gentleman by the name of Bob, so there's a good chance I get a match report for the whole length in a minute, or at least half of it. I've got 2 little chub, Bob, for about two. I've got 2 little chub for about £2.
For what?
£2 in total.
He's had a bream of £3 on the end.
That end or that end?
That end.
Has he? Yeah, I was saying any bream will beat it. Is that the only fish caught, Bob?
This way, yeah. Would you have them on the pole feeder then?
No, I had them on double maggot, just running it through. I'll do this for an hour, see if I get anything. Right, so he's had a £3 bream on the end peg. he'll now walk the length of the section, I'm sure, and I'll get a decent match report so I know where I am against everyone else. So I was sure that someone would catch a bream today, if not more than one bream, you know, so the right thing to do is to switch to try and catch some bream. So let's see. The gentleman will walk the lengths now, and then he'll come back, and I'll ask him on the way back what else is being caught. It'll give me a good first hour and a half update. Some hemp in this next one. Okay, stick with the plan, keep putting the bait in, and then if there's no joy after the next 25 minutes of this, I'll go back on the pole, and if I don't catch on that, then maybe I'll put another little couple of balls of ground bait in with loads of bait, chop worm, and start running chop worm through the feeder. I think that'll be what I do. Although I don't know if I've got another Another pop. Oh, it's a bit laggy. Sorry about that. Don't know what's causing that. I do have a good connection here, but even good connections get a little bit rubbish at times. So I've got to believe that Mick, a gentleman called Mick's on the end peg, on the very end peg of this section, and he's actually in the peg where I fished live on stream I don't know how long ago it was now. Now I'd fished it and I only had a chub at the end of the session, like right at the end of the session, after I sort of worked out where I wanted to chuck the feeder in the peg. And Mick knows the peg well, so I've got to believe that he's going to catch a bunch of fish. I suspect we could end up with a report that comes back that says he's got 20 pound of bream. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Stephen, it does look really nice, and it's really nice to be out today. I don't know about the next couple of days. I think it's going to get a bit horrible, the weather. Although the overnight won't go down below 3, I don't think. I don't know what it's going to be like, because I think that the top temperature is going to go back down to like 8 degrees in the middle of the week. So I don't know, but I've had 2 little chub, the 2 smallest chub I've probably ever caught in this river, in a match, in this stretch. So I got about £2, and there's reports of a £3 bream to my right. And hopefully I'm going to get a little report about what's been caught further down from me. And I have this horrible feeling that the guy on the end peg's going to have caught a bunch of fish, but let's see. Definitely I'm fishing in a way that could catch me £50, so you know, if that's what I've got to do, then it's going to be like this. I'll give it another minute and then we'll put some more bait in. Start thinking about chopworm. Morning, Dave. Yeah. You too, mate. Your story of 2 bream has filled me full of confidence. I've had the 2 smallest chub I've ever caught out of this part of the river. They probably go £2 between them. There's a bream to my right, I know of that, and I suspect there's bream to my left, but I'm going to hold out on the pole feeder for another 20 minutes and then I'll check on the pole again. So I think I'm on peg 5. I can't remember if we've got more pegs in than I'm on peg 6, sorry. So there's 5 anglers to my left. The 2 directly to my left are currently blanking. So there's 3 more opportunities that way. And then to the right, I can't remember how many anglers there is, but the 2 to my right are blanking, and then there's a 3 pound bream on the end. And that's the only fish that was discussed. So I'm currently in 2nd place, pending a match report coming back. So 2 more minutes and we'll go again. And as I said, in 15 minutes I'll try running the float through again. And if that's to no avail, I will pot some chop worm in and then go back on the pole feeder with chop worm, I think. Seems like the natural evolution of the plan. I've got plenty of worm to do it, so no. What's the story, Bob?
1 and 2 bream down there.
Who's got the 2? Mick?
Mick's got 1 big bream. Must be over 4.
Yeah.
And Ian's got 2 bream.
Right. I better get my skates on then. Hey? Yeah. Right, so that's the situation. Just under 2 hours gone. Match leader's got 2 bream, and it's fair to assume they're probably £4 each. So that's £8. And if he's had 2, it's just fair to assume he's going to have another 3 at this point. So that's a £20 weight, or potential £20 weight. Interesting, the gentleman on the end peg, who I thought would have had a few bream, actually he's only had 1, so it could be that they're a little bit further up. So I think it's right that I should start thinking about a couple more chucks here. Then a look on the pole, and then start put some chop worm in. I now need to catch at least 3 bream. Maybe I should, yeah, I'm still going to go on the pole. I'm going to go on the pole just because I want to catch on the pole, on the float. I just want to see if fish came over that bait, you know. Morning, Neil. I've got 2 little chub, 2 little babby chub for about £2. There's a 1 bream to my right, and there's a 2 bream to my left, and then a 1 bream to the left of that. So I am, my view is I need to catch 3 or 4 bream now to do any good. So I will start the chopped worm preparations. Did you catch on the river? You've been there a couple of days, haven't you? Noodles, I've got 2 chub for about £2 in weight, and I'm just preparing a load of chopped worm because there's some bream being caught to my left, which will go about £8 in weight. So I need to start preparing something a little bit different, to try something different to get some more fish in my peg. So I'll leave this for 10 minutes actually, this chuck, and then back on the float, and if there's no fish on the float, then I'm going to pot a couple of balls of ground bait in full of chopped worm, and then I'm going to start putting chopped worm through the pole feeder, and that's what I'm going to do. Seems like a good plan. Might chuck a few of these pellets in as well, I don't know. In fact, yes, I will do that. I'll chuck some of these pellets. It's just a mixture of robin reds and halibut pellets in. That's the plan. If you go up from me and you go up into Abingdon town, there's loads of perch, absolutely loads. You know, big perch, but not so much that you catch around here in this part of the river.